Okay, so now we're back with the third video, and this is how that you can let go of whatever life you have now, whatever things that you have that are not in alignment with this higher vision, with this higher purpose, higher calling, whatever things that are kind of holding you back, little anchors, little hooks, little things you haven't quite let go of that you're dragging. We need to let all these go because usually what people find, and this is what I found, is when we do align with our higher mission, we realize that we're not fully on track right now. We have things that we're doing that are not in line, and they may be big things. They may be like a whole career, or like a whole project, or a whole relationship, or something like this. It could be a lot, or like an entire lifestyle you've built out of a bad habit. So it could be a lot of things, but and if this is the first time you're doing something like this, it's probably way out of alignment, and that's okay. That's how it was for me the first time I did this. Like I said, I was an engineer. Well, I was in school to be an engineer, and I needed to do something. My heart was being crushed every day. I literally lost like all my best qualities, and I had previously tasted them. I knew what it was like to be in flow. I knew what it was like to be magical. I knew it was like to have all my best qualities and to be magnetic and to be successful and popular and energized. Like I knew, and helpful, beneficial to others. I knew what that felt like. I had been there, and then I fell off track for like pretty much a full year, right? Maybe slightly more. And but I did 1 year of school. It was 1 year of engineering school, and I just couldn't do it. So for me, what happened was I was at the mountain. I used to teach snowboarding, and so I was at the mountain, and I just was going back and forth between trying on engineering, being a therapist, engineering, being a therapist. And when I would think, okay, I'm gonna be an engineer, the whole world became like a grayscale. Everyone became like a 2D cardboard cutout. I couldn't relate to anybody anymore. I felt like a hollow shell. But then I would think, okay, I'm going to be a therapist. And the full color would come back, and I connected with people again, and I felt empowered in my mission again. I felt meaningful, and my empathy came back online. And so by doing this enough times, I just realized, well, I can't do that anymore. And I was able to step away. And I think for you, it might be a similar process of like, just ask the question, like, what are you doing now that is not in alignment with your higher calling? What is it? And you're going to get a sense of what it is. Now, the best way to let go is to stop holding on. And you could think of it as being like in a river. So your higher calling and this divine energy that flows through that is like a river. And you are there, and you can just be swept away into your best life. But what mostly we do is we hang on to things along the side of the river. We hang on to these roots over here, or this vine over here, or this rock over here. We're just hanging on. We're just prolonging the inevitable. That like eventually we're going to be carried with the flow. I mean, you could like hang on and then like climb on the shore and build a little settlement. And a lot of people do that. A lot of people do that with their bad habits, or with relationships that aren't their highest calling, or with jobs that are supposed to be like, my friend has a saying, making a house out of a hallway, making a home out of a hallway, meaning there's a lot of things in life that are just meant to be passed through, like a river, right? We're just supposed to pass through all these different chapters and go somewhere better. But sometimes we like take a little thing that was supposed to be just a chapter, and we build it into a whole civilization. We make a whole identity out of it, a whole meaning out of it. And we start building up habits that support it. Okay. Yeah. So in terms of letting go, let me talk about a couple things that I found helpful. At the core of any addiction is an identity. Okay. And the addiction itself is easy to let go of, or whatever the thing is. Those things are actually quite easy to let go of. And yes, there may be some kind of withdrawal period as normal, whether it's a relationship or drugs or alcohol or pot or a job, or like the ego praise that comes in, all the praise that comes in. We might feel a little deprived and withdrawn if we pull away from some of these things that we're getting this superficial energy from. but that's relatively easy to get through. Like getting through withdrawal is pretty simple, really. Anybody could do it, dependent, but it's not that hard. The hard part is the identity, right? So we build up an identity that we like, and that we need the substance or we need the activity to fulfill, to pump up, right? So the identity depends upon something else. For example, when I was getting into this engineering thing, my family really loved it, and it pumped my ego up. Like I started thinking to myself, yeah, I'm gonna have this nice house and these cars, and my family, not just my immediate family, but my relatives gave me like praise and encouragement, and it made me feel good, right? It made me feel like I was important and powerful, basically powerful, and that sort of I had control over my life, and that I was the kind of person who could kind of take control and do a calculated choice and just like make it work, and therefore get to sort of some level of higher society, right? So I had some ego identity based on all of that stuff, and it was essentially the power, I think, was the core of it. But and that felt good, right? It didn't actually feel good. It didn't actually feel good, but at the time we can get hooked on things like this. We can get hooked on, oh, I'm the kind of person, I like it when people look at me and respect me because of what kind of career track I'm on. Like I like that sort of attention and support from others. And so, I don't want to let that go. And so then if that's the case, then we need the engineering type thing in order to sustain that. Okay. And yeah, if we're not willing to let go of the identity, it's actually, it's going to be hard to let go of the thing that pumps up that identity, if that makes sense. Now, I was talking to my brother many years ago. I hope he doesn't get mad and watch this someday. But he liked to, I could be wrong, it was something like he would get high, smoke pot, and I think juggle and maybe use the speed bag, like a boxing speed bag, but he would also juggle. And he really liked to do those things high. And the thing was, he had an identity of himself, I think, as somebody who could entertain himself and do creative stuff like this. And so as long as he has that identity, he needs the pot to like sustain it. And I said to him one time, like, if you want to quit smoking pot, you may have to stop juggling because the fact that you juggle is like an excuse to keep using pot, right? So it's good to find those connections. There was a time in my life when I was trying to quit smoking pot, but what happened was I would go to the bars trying to get laid or trying to hook up with girls, and I would drink. I would get too hungover and I would get rejected. So I would go out, I would get rejected a bunch of times, and I would drink too much. At least I would drink more than just a few drinks, right? And it doesn't matter if it was like drunk or not. It was enough that in the morning I felt hungover and I felt this rejection feeling of like getting rejected several times. And then I would smoke pot to overcome those two feelings, to overcome the hangover and to overcome the rejection. And I just figured out, like, I'm putting myself in this scenario where it builds up anxiety, right? And so I go there, it's like you need to drink in order to sustain that activity, and then you need to smoke in order to recover from it. And basically, I just realized if I want to stop smoking, I have to stop doing this. I have to stop going out and drinking and getting hungover, and I have to stop getting this feeling of rejection because, I don't want, like, this feeling is a trigger. It makes me want to find relief. Okay. So then I was like, okay, no problem. And then I just stopped those things, and I was able to stop smoking pot, or at least highly reduce it at that time. So these are just some ideas. Another example is like somebody who's the life of the party, right? If you have an identity of yourself, I'm the life of the party. Well, you probably need some kind of substance to sustain that identity, right? Can you do that? Can you pull that off without the drugs or the alcohol around you, or do you need those things? So, like I said, it's kind of easy to let go of the drugs, the alcohol. That's pretty easy. But if you're really hooked on being the life of the party, you're going to continue finding substances to use in order to keep that ego intact. Okay. So what I'm saying here is, this is subtle, but I think you guys can handle it. And you want to find that ego identity that's the core of this maybe lifestyle that you want to let go of, whatever it is, whatever is the thing that isn't aligned with your highest mission, whether it's a habit or a career or a relationship or something like this. You want to find, the what you want to ask yourself the question, maybe there's an identity within this. Maybe I like the way this person makes me feel. Maybe I feel powerful, or I feel a certain kind of way. I feel like a real man. I feel like a real woman when I'm in the presence of this partner, right? And so since I want to sustain this, or I feel like a goddess, or I feel like a king, or those are fine. There's nothing wrong with those feelings. But if if the relationship isn't serving you and is not aligned with the higher mission, which maybe it's not, you have to ask, like, what is the identity within this? Because that's ego, isn't it? That's an ego identity, and that doesn't help anybody. The ego just isolates us and keeps us stuck. It's like creating an island and thinking that you're going to be sustained as an island. Islands can't sustain themselves. Islands need support from the outside. And human beings are more like cells in a body than they are like islands. So in the ego, it thinks I'm an island. Oh, I don't need other people. It's not realistic. It isolates us. And it's just an arrogant view. Whereas the more realistic view is like a cell. You're interdependent with other beings, and that you need them. There's no real walls to separate you. Like, you're distinct, but it's not like separate. And you need them, they need you. You kind of co-create together. That's sort of a more realistic picture. So if there's any ego involved in your habits or your relationships or your job or career or whatever it is that we're talking about right now, then that's not helpful. And we should know that if there are positive feelings within, like maybe feeling like a king or queen there's a divine expression of that. So maybe that feels good. Or maybe like the job, the ego power trip isn't good, but maybe the money it brings you is good. Or maybe the habit, there's something about it that's good, meaning like maybe you need your alone time, and that habit carves you out this chunk of like alone time where you're using to spend that time in some kind of destructive substance or something like that, or some kind of bad habit that wastes time or whatever. Okay, maybe that's not good, but maybe there is something good about it. That maybe it's the solitude, the time to yourself. Maybe that is what you need. So what I'm saying is, find out the useful parts of whatever it is that you have, and just realize that the universe can give you those things in a different way. You can find a higher expression of those things. So maybe you love the feeling of being sexually active and having another partner to kind of play around with. Wonderful, nothing wrong with that. And so you can find that in a different way. It's not like there's a shortage of that in the universe. That's relatively easy to find, right? Or maybe it's like money. Maybe the career is soul sucking, but you like the fact that you can sustain your livelihood. Well, there's other careers, there's other jobs, there's other opportunities that can give you the same income or more, maybe, in a way that feels aligned. Or maybe you find that by aligning with your highest path, you feel so fulfilled that you don't need to spend money on all those things to soothe your soul like we do now. Like if someone's in a soul sucking job, they need to go on retreats, they need like wine and Netflix, they need things that soothe them and keep them able to show up to that soul sucking job or that soul sucking relationship or whatever. So we're spending money on those things. But what if you were just fully aligned with a higher calling? Maybe you wouldn't need all those other things, those other expenses to sustain you, because you'd already feel sustained, right? And so I'm just suggesting that whatever positive elements are within your misaligned habit or lifestyle, you can find them elsewhere and they're totally fine. You can find them within your highest expression, within your lifestyle, okay? So this is my advice. And the main point is that the ego, when the ego is involved, it's going to ruin everything. And that if you're finding it hard to let go of one of those things, check to see, okay, what is the identity within that? What is the identity? How do I relate to myself? Who do I think I am? You know, when a teacher says that to you, or a parent, like, who do you think you are, young man, young lady? Ask yourself, who do I think I am? Who do I think I am? When I'm in this relationship, I'm getting something toxic, but I still like it. or I'm getting something toxic from this career, but my ego likes it. What is it about it? Like who do I think I am in that scenario? Who am I? Right? And then you can start to see this person that isn't real, that you're sacrificing your best life for. And once you can let go of the need to be that person, you can then, and you realize that you are not that person. That's just a fabrication of your mind. It's not a real person. It's just an idea. Once you can start to see that and just think like, I'm not going to give up my best life simply so I can continue being this shell of a human being that isn't even a real person anymore. And then you can let it go. So I'm giving you the formula, so to speak, to let go. And I suggest practice it. Okay, so now let's do a little bit of meditation. So you can find a comfortable position for meditation. You can think, what are the parts of my lifestyle or my life that are not aligned with my highest potential, that are not aligned with my higher calling? What are those parts of my lifestyle? Now that I know my higher calling, are there any parts of what I'm doing that are not aligned? What can I let go of in order to be swished into my best life? What are the anchors that are holding me back right now? What are the things I'm holding on to that if I were to just let go, the universe would pull me to the highest place? So we can make a decision to relax and let go and surrender to the flow. Relax, let go, surrender to the flow. You're not surrendering in general, you're surrendering into divine flow, divine consciousness, universal alignment. You surrender into this. And let go of everything else. Relax, let go. Surrender to the flow. Relax. Let go. Decide to surrender to the flow. Surrender to divine flow. So we decide, make a decision to let go of everything that is not aligned for you right now. And hold this decision for a while. Make a decision to surrender. So we can begin to relax our concentration. And when you're ready, you can open your eyes and arise from meditation, keeping these beautiful insights and decisions in your heart. All right, so I hope you enjoyed that video. So these are the main 3 steps that we need to work on. And the other 2 are more of like the powerful process of really tuning in with divine consciousness, right? Like the whole purpose here is to follow your heart and become a channel for and like an instrument of divine will. Becoming a divine channel is really the goal. That's what it means to follow your heart. You're just becoming a better radio receiver, right? So these are the main 3 steps to kind of get yourself on board. And then the next 2 steps are more of meditation steps. And they're the way to really cement and create the connection deep in your heart with divinity so that you can channel and become a powerful channel, not just a regular person who calls himself a channel, but like a powerful, beneficial influence in the whole universe. Okay? So that's what we're going to do in the next 2 videos. And I hope you enjoy and feel free to re-watch this one. If you need a little extra help, let it go.